Hey guys, here today we have a game called Particle Fleet Emergence, and I've actually played through this game once already. I meant to stop after the first few missions just so I get a feel for it, but it sucked me in and I couldn't stop. It's a pretty fun game. It just came out on Steam a couple days ago. I think it's about $10 or $15 on there. Been following it for a while, watching them build it and seeing their progress as they went. Here's the main screen. We have your standard story. Tycon Corporation embarks on a perilous journey into redacted space and discovers a terrible truth. Ominous and intriguing. Inception, from a time when Galactic Corporation was noble and just. I'm sure we will figure out who Galactic Corporation is. We have Simulacrum. I'm sure there's a better way to say that, and we'll get into that later. Exchange, download and play the creations of other corporate CEOs. Be warned, many are trivial, and many more are not. Mission editor, pretty self-explanatory. Ship editor, pretty self-explanatory, and we'll get into both of those a little bit later. But one of the things that drew me into this game was the art style. The back art is phenomenal, and one thing that I've noticed is games are starting to have more of a retro feel to them. A lot of games are getting remade. I know that the Command & Conquer series came out recently with a remake, touched up graphics and some added, abilities to make the gameplay a little easier. But you also have things like 8-bit armies that are coming out that just have that retro feel to them. This game is kind of like that. When I played through, it reminded me a little bit of a mix between Homeworld, which is a great game by the way. They also remade that, and FTL, which is Faster Than Light. And it's a nice mix between the two of those with its own little something added in. Here we have the prologue, which we don't actually play. We watch this, and up here we have COC Lakshmi, jump complete sir, but this is just kind of a prologue, and it gives you a little bit of a backstory to the game we're going to be playing. Here we have some pretty interesting looking ships, and I don't know if anybody here has played Homeworld or FTL, but you'll see that this is a top-down strategy game, and it's not necessarily 3D, so some of you guys might be disappointed about that, but the gameplay itself is pretty phenomenal. And we have here like the jagged edges of the bit graphics, but you'll see that the animations are very smooth, very complex. They're not laggy or jagged or one-dimensional, which I guess actually they are, but you know what I'm saying. And the ships themselves, even though they are made on a bit type of scaling, they are very detail oriented, and like the weapon fire is nice. We have, it looks like, point defense lasers. Here we have the ships moving to engage. So the explosions look nice. The graphics are very well done, even though they're simplistic, and that was one of the big things that drew me into this game when I first started playing it. Here we have just a whole bunch of stuff going on. It looks like we got a big baddie moving in. And just look at these graphics. Even though they are simplistic, they are very well done indeed. So it looks like this entire fleet, like all those before, Hale Corporation was lost. Interesting. So definitely have some big bad guys over here that just took out what looked like was maybe an allied fleet or an expedition, and there goes that as well. Almost nothing remained except a single and final transmission. Oh, they took that over. Let's see. So right now I'm recording this. Currently the hurricane is outside. I'm in North Carolina, right on the coastline, and we're starting to get the initial gusts and rains. It's been drizzling or misting for the past couple days, but we're starting to get some pretty heavy rain as of today. I went out to grab some food just in case we lose power or whatever, and had a lot of fun driving with the windows down. But here's the first mission, Naivety. Somebody will probably correct me, but let's get into it. Entering redacted space. So mission, Naivety, objective custom. Your company is preparing to embark upon a great journey, but first you must review and prepare. So this is kind of the intro screen. You can launch your mission. You can choose if you want to use the fleet that the game provides for you, or you can actually create your own fleet back in the ship editor. And down here are some of the quicker times that this has been completed in. If you saw my time before we clicked on this, it was 5 minutes was my best time. But this is just an intro trying to get you acquainted with the game. Greetings, associates. Before we embark on our great journey, our COO Amicus will review operating procedures. Please pay close attention as the success of our venture depends on your actions. Amicus, over to you. Now with CEO Tychon. Thank you, Chairman Tychon. Associates, let's make this simulator run perfect and show him that we are more than prepared. Remember, the corporate ship isn't only our headquarters, it is also our home. The fate of the entire company rests in your capable hands. So you can see that this game is played in a rectangular box area with being pretty clear parameters on where your ships can and cannot go. Once again, this game may start off to seem simplistic, but it actually has quite a bit of depth to it, and the strategy and thought processes you need to go into it are quite fun to interact with and understand. It takes a while. You'll see some of my later mission times that some of them take me almost an hour, some of them have taken me quite a bit more than an hour to complete. So right now we're just going through the basics of how to operate our ships and our fleet. And I just landed in Omni, which is right here, to land on this landmass. And one of the key concepts of this game is acquiring landmass. And you will see this gray neutral land start to turn blue. And up here, it's called mire. As you put Omnis, or there's a couple other ways you can mire land, but you will start to gain more energy production. And that's registered in the blue bar up here. So Omnis can be built in space or over land, but they are only operational when they touch down. So you can actually move it around as you see, move it wherever you'd like. But see how it raises up? If you were to land that in space, it would just stay there and it wouldn't actually descend because there's nothing to descend upon. So you see we have these green lasers, it looks like, coming from this. And this is your primary energy source. You see you have a 9 above here, and that 9 is represented in this green bar. And all this together, so 9 right here for the energy mine and 3.6 for the amount of land that we have. And this gives you, this constantly feeds into your store. So you see how it flickers between 99 and 100? Well, that's because I shoot out 1 packet of energy to keep the Omni operational. So here we're going to build our first ship. I call it a lathe. Maybe somebody else will be able to correct me and tell me what it's properly called. But a lathe is going to be one of the most essential ships to your fleet. It has very little combat capability, but it does what your corporate HQ does, except it's very expendable. They're quick to build. They do sport 1 self-defense laser right here, and that's going to be that red laser that can shoot at oncoming enemies and slowly destroy them. But the big thing that it has is it has this red thing, which is called a lathe. And the HQ also sports 1, which allows it to take over that energy mine. So as it gets close, as you see it enters that ring, that pink ring, that is the energy range for the lathe. The red ring would be the range for that little self-defense laser. And every ship has that pink range, because once you get this in range or something, it'll be able to do things very similar to what a lathe can do. So this game also sports pretty, not necessarily complex, but well thought out ship movement. You can click on your ship to move it, and it will kind of turn in association of where you're moving it to, or you can use your mouse wheel to turn. Or you can click and hold, and it'll move to that position, and then you can move it from there. Also, you can hold down M and make very small adjustments, teeny tiny, which are actually quite useful when trying to fit all of your ships in a tight space, which doesn't seem like it would be incredibly useful right now, but as you progress to the later levels, some of the levels get quite tight and you need to use all your ships properly, so you have to fit them in. It's almost like playing Tetris, but a lot more action-packed. So right now we're building a destroyer, our first, I would say, offensive-orientated ship. It sports 2 cannons and a self-deployment laser, which actually our home ship sports 2 cannons and 3 self-defense lasers. So actually has more firepower than the destroyer, but of course if you don't want to lose that, so this thing's a little more expendable. Excellent. So let's review the threat and the mission status. So they're talking about redacted space. Over the centuries, there have been occasional ventures into redacted space, often by the insane or desperate chiefs of failed corporations. In all cases, those who ventured into redacted space were never heard from again, with one exception. And that is the single exception we have come to possess. A message encrypted and only recently deciphered by our Chief Technology Officer, Anna. Associates, the encryption is not easy to break. Only after considerable insight have I discovered the message's content. It contains a description of a mindless threat that was attracted to energy and technology. Self-replicating, it could temporarily be defeated and pushed back, but it will always return. Many of you have no doubt heard rumors of this your whole lives. It would seem the rumors are true. So one of the things that I also like about this game is the backstory that it creates and the atmosphere that it creates. Throughout the game, you'll constantly hear references to CEOs and corporations and these giant conglomerations of power. And since this is set many, many years in the future, it seems as if this this version of human life has evolved into a corporate powerhouse where corporations run things, almost like oligarchies or a monopoly of sorts. So you'll hear that throughout the game, references to CEOs and corporations and whatnot. So one of the most important functions of the lathe ship is destroying these emitters. These are the only things that can destroy these emitters, with one exception, but we'll get into that later. So that's why these are so important and why they have so little offensive power. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is these blue rings that are around these energy mines. Not only do they, see, there we go, see 6 minutes and 58 seconds, somebody completed that in a minute. I'm sure I could get my time down if I sped through, but I like to take my time and make sure that we do everything correctly. So here we go to the second mission, Indelible. So at the start of every mission, you have this option to either default fleet or sandbox fleet, and you have the times down here of what you could aspire to maybe beat or get close to. So we're going to objective is destroy all enemy structures. Description: the associates of Tycon Corporation enter redacted space, and everything is anticipated, or so it seems. Alright, excellent. We have entered redacted space. So we have a lot of stuff on the screen right now. We have collect technology, energy crystals, mire here of Omni to increase energy. So it looks like we have 2 emitters on the right side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop our corporate HQ in there. And every mission starts out paused, so you can plan where you want to put stuff, where you want to jump your corporate HQ. I could have jumped it here or next to this energy mine, but I want to get this land with an Omni so I can start getting more energy. So we have the enemy looks like we're spawning over here, and that has red energy around it. And where we're spawning, we have this stuff called blue plasma, and that will slow down the enemy particulate that reaches it. But once enough hits the blue plasma, it'll start to decay. So you gotta be careful. It's a limited barrier. It will only protect you for so long. So we got that energy mine built, and you can see up here we already have 0. Even though we're gaining 3 energy, we already have 0 because we're using so much to build this lathe and this Omni. Now up here we have numbers in yellow, and that's when you collect these energy pods. They give you temporary energy that will assist you when your stores reach 0, which they currently are. So right now we are getting this lathe built so we can pop up here and grab this energy mine, while our mothership is going to collect this technology. And a big part of this game is something called licenses. You can't just research ships You can't, you know, build them just on a whim. You have to actually go out and find them, which I think is a nod towards this game being so heavily reliant on, not reliant, but the backstory of corporations and whatnot. You know, it's a very structured and a very one-way society. You know, you just don't go out and do things. You have to get licenses, you have to get permission, you have to do these things. So you can't just build and research, you have to find. So once we get this energy mine up, we're going to put that Omni down to increase our energy production, and we're going to go over here and collect this technology. So right now our mothership is the actually the most fearsome weapon in our emerging fleet. So we're kind of going to keep her up front to shoot down these particulates, which is what the enemy are called. Emergent, redacted space. The particulate are in there. So an additional lathe ship has been integrated into our GalCorp license manager, and that's going to be here on the left side. So they don't just you can't just click the same thing to build another one. You actually get a specific number of them, so you can see the status of each of your ships. But like I was talking about before the last mission ended, the important thing about these energy mines is they do two things. They send energy to your ship and they repair your ship. See how that's building it? If it were to get damaged, it would do the same thing and it would rebuild the ship. So you can see here on the left hand side, next to the ship, you have a green bar. And that green bar indicates the energy status of the ship currently. So if we move the ship outside of these blue circles, it will not get any repair, nor will it get resupply. So once the energy goes all the way down, it can no longer use its point defense laser, it can no longer use its lathe to either convert enemy or convert neutral or enemy mines or take out emitters. So you have to be very careful with how you use them and how you push with your fleet. So you see here it went yellow because it actually takes away the whole of the ship, and then it rebuilds as the energy comes to it. So we're just going to scoot that back a little bit because that's all that energy now. And see that big beam of energy? It refilled its stores and it started repairing it. So we're going to take both of our lathe ships, move them up, and we're going to convert that mine to our use, so that expands our area of influence. I'm going to take our mothership, move that up. So our objective for this mission is to destroy these two emitters. And you'll see that there's quite a bit of enemy particulate around them. And the thing is when you go to destroy an emitter by moving your lathe ships close enough to hit it, all the particulate around it will sense that its emitter is in danger, and it will move to destroy the ship. So here we're going to have to just sneak our fleet up a little by little and slowly start taking out the enemy particulate until we thin them out enough in order to move our lathe ships in there to destroy the emitter. So an important thing about this is when enemy particulate hit landmass, they add their influence to the landmass. And our Omni will continuously exert its influence over it, but if enough enemy particulate is hitting the landmass at one time, it can actually overwhelm the output of the Omni. But here we only have a couple pieces hitting, and once ours reaches theirs, it will start to take theirs away and add ours. And you can see it up here in the Meyer percentage, and we have 88, they have 5, and that's just going to keep going up for us and down for them as we get more and more. So here we're just sneaking our fleet up a little by little, getting them in range. So, got a little too far. So as we attack it, you'll see the particulate, they acknowledge the threat and they move towards it. So we're going to want to move that. And it's very important how you position your ships, because you see here there's different things on the ships. The cannons, the lathe, we have the cockpit right here, and then we have the engines. Depending on where the particulate hit, are gonna regulate where the damage happens. If it hits it in the front, it'll take out the lathe first. But if it hits it in the back, it will take out the engines, making it move very slowly until repaired. So you have to make sure that your ships are facing the way you want them to prevent unnecessary damage or loss of use of your ships until they're repaired. So there goes the first emitter. We're going to move down here and start to pick away at this particulate. And these ones that are just kind of floating around, they don't do too much. You don't gotta worry about them unless they're in bigger numbers. You just need to kind of focus on the central mass of particulate and start to thin them out little by little. One thing I learned through playing this game is the name of this game is stabilization, because a lot of the missions that you will see as we play through this, you start off very fast, and the name of the game is stabilization. Once you stabilize and maintain the territory you have, then you can start looking for the weak points in the particulate, which is one of the reasons I think this game is so fun, because they make it very difficult on many missions to actively, you can't really bum rush these. Although I've seen some of the quicker times that people have done these missions in, and maybe I'm just not that good, but I certainly can't do it. But here we go. We have Zero and Amicus. Tech licenses, energy crystals, dual particulate emitters. We didn't expect this much this close to the edge of redacted space. Other ships must have been destroyed even this close to the boundary. And CEO Tycon, kind of like the shipmaster or who's in charge of this expedition, he says, "We came for answers. I believe you will have them soon." Excellent. So like I said, somebody completed this mission in 1 minute and 10 seconds. I did it in 6 minutes and 32 seconds. So here we are, we're going to exit the mission, and this is actually where we are going to end this video. I'm not going to upload a couple hours long video playing through the entire campaign. I will upload several different videos of the entire thing just so people can watch it a little easier, but this is a preview to the next mission. You can see stuff is kind of heating up. Looks like we have a new ship and an emitter that's going to be in a pretty difficult place to hit. So I'm going to stop this video here, and we will continue on in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.